Hello. Today we are going to solve systems by inspection. Okay? Sometimes we can determine the number of solutions that a system of equation has by simply observing and drawing conclusions from equations. This is called inspection. For example, if we know that two equations have the same slope but different y-intercepts, the system has no solution. And if it has no solution, we know that the lines are parallel. Okay? On the other hand, if two equations have the same slope and the same y-intercept, the system has infinitely many solutions. That means that it's the exact same line. Please fill these notes in on your paper, the one that is in your folder. Now let's determine how many solutions of each system of equations has. Be sure to explain your thinking in the space provided, and if the system has one solution, solve it. If we look at the first equation, we're going to notice that these have the same exact slope. Remember, the slope is the number in front of the x. Okay, notice these equations are in the form of y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is your slope. Okay, so they both have a slope of 1.5. But you should notice that their y-intercepts. This guy has a y-intercept of positive 9, and this guy has a y-intercept of negative 9. So they have the same slope, but they have different y-intercepts. So that means that this has no solution. These lines, in fact, are parallel. Now, number 2. These equations are not written in the form y equals mx plus b. So the issue is that we can't see the slope and the y-intercept. But I noticed that the x's are lined up, the y's are lined up, and the numbers are lined up along with the equal sign. So I'm going to try to eliminate one of the variables. By doing that, I think I'm going to multiply the top equation by -1. Okay. So when I did that, I got negative 7x minus 3y equals negative 10. Now, when I combine these, seven x minus 7x gives me 0. 3y minus 3y also gives me 0. So when I have nothing left over there, I have to write 0. 30 minus 10, well, we know that equals 20. So I end up with this weird 0 equals 20. Okay, since that is never going to be true, we know that these lines are parallel and they have no solution. Now let's look at number 3. Okay, I notice that my slope in the first equation is positive 1 and my y-intercept is positive 1. In the second equation, I notice that my slope is negative 1 and my y-intercept is negative 1. Therefore, since nothing is the same here, I know that I'm going to have one solution. So let's solve it. Now, normally when they're written this way, I would graph them, but they don't give me enough room. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in equation number 2. I'm going to combine them. Okay, so I notice that my y's are lined up, my x's are lined up, and my numbers are lined up, along with my equal sign. So I'm going to add these together, and when I combine them, I notice that when I combine x minus x, I end up with 0. Y plus y is 2y equals 1 minus 1 is also 0. Okay, then I can divide both sides by 2, and y equals 0. So they asked me to find the solution. So therefore I know in my ordered pair that my y will be 0. Now I'm going to plug the 0 back into one of these equations. I'm going to plug it into the first one. Y equals 0 plus 1. Oh, and I just did that backwards. So what I did was I replaced the y with 0, and I wrote 0 equals x plus 1. And then I subtracted 1 from both sides to get the x by itself, and x equals -1. So my ordered pair, my x is -1, my y is 0. So my solution is -1, 0. Now we're going to look at the third equation. The third equation, one is written in the form y equals mx plus b, and the other is not. So I'm going to take the second equation and get it in the form y equals mx plus b. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the -8x to the other side and make it a positive 8x. So I end up with 4y equals positive 8x plus 2. Then I'm going to divide everything by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, cross out my 4's, and I end up with y equals 8 divided by 4 is 2x plus 1/2. Now I compare my two equations. I notice that my first equation has a slope of 2. So does my second equation. I notice my first equation has a y-intercept of positive 1/2. So does my second equation. So I now know that these are the exact same line. So these have infinitely many solutions. And remember, infinitely many solutions means that they are the exact same line. Now you're going to try the back of this page and the next page. Do your best. Remember, go back and look. If they have the same slope and different y-intercepts, then they have no solution. If they have the exact same slope and the exact same y-intercept, they have infinitely many solutions. So complete the back and the next page, do your best, and we will go over it in class tomorrow. Good luck.